My name is Michael Pickens. I'm from the Libertarian Party of Washington, the former chairman there, author of the book Libertarian Leadership, and founder of an organization titled Libertarian Leadership. There is in this world no greater force than the force of a man or woman determined to rise. We are those men, we are those women, we are rising. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Today, as a delegation, you nominated a number of candidates for state office and national office. We also have an amazing slate of presidential candidates. Today, I was able to give a talk on the foundations of the Libertarian Party from 1971, its inception right here in Colorado Springs. Give yourself a hand. And in that talk, I actually outlined all of our presidential candidates, minus one from 2008. I also talked about the infighting within the Libertarian Party, when it started, why it started, and how to solve it and stop it. There's been some recent controversy. Controversy is fun, brings awareness to what we're doing. But in the end, we are right here at statism, where we're at right now. Over here is freedom, right? This is anarchy at this end. So we are on opposite ends of where some people would like to be. The argument between minarchist and anarchist has been going for years, right? How about we all hop on the train, moving in this direction, and then when we get to minimal government, we can decide to get off or not. Yeah. How does that sound? So, I'm not on one side or the other side. I would like to see libertarians elected to office, and right now we have an opportunity to do that at all levels of government. And I'm going to be introducing someone that came up to me, actually I was introduced a year ago here at the convention, but he reached out to me a couple months ago asking for my help recruiting candidates. And this gentleman is 19 years old, the youngest state chairman in Libertarian Party history. He's made phone calls to every Libertarian candidate around the country. He's made phone calls to raise money, to invite people to this event, and to run for office. He has done something that I haven't seen any activist do ever, especially someone his age. And I'd like to introduce you to him now. He is your current chairman, Nathan Grabau.
I'm going to introduce our presidential candidates here in a couple minutes, but I have some good news for you guys. I'm not sure who's watched the news in the last, couple weeks or couple months, but we got some pretty great presidential candidates running for the Republican and Democrat nomination. Now, they're not great for America, but they're great for us. They're going to create an opening for us that's unreal. I'm not going to get up here and argue that we're going to necessarily win the presidential race. Obviously, we're going to run to win. But this year, we're going to set records, and it's going to be amazing. Not only that, but today, we nominated 26 candidates that would represent the state of Colorado. You're running for all sorts of different offices. That puts us at the most candidates per capita for a state libertarian party in the entire nation. I've had a lot of people come up to me and ask, Nathan, you're young. What would I need to tell you for you to get involved? What do I need to say? What do I need to do? How do we get more young people involved? The reality is, young people want to get involved. Young people have our ideals. Young people share what we believe. We don't have a messaging problem. There's some fighting, but overall, we're pretty amazing. Just if I'm going to say it myself. I think we're cool. And young people agree with me. What we have is a visibility problem. And sadly, right now in that climate, in the climate that we're in, the only way we get over that visibility problem is we either do something ridiculous and turn off a bunch of voters, which we shouldn't do, or we reach out to those kids. And these people who are my age, people who are coming and voting, the people who want to support libertarians, the people who do, they just don't know how to. They don't know that we exist. From the bottom of their hearts, they say, I'm not a Republican. You know, I like the Republican Party. I like the economic policies they claim, at least. But you know what? I just can't handle their stance on social issues. And, you know, there are kids that are growing up on the left that say, you know, I like the Democrat Party. I like that they're accepting of people. I like that they want to legalize marijuana, or some of them claim to, at least. I like Bernie Sanders. But, you know, they aren't going to be, they're going to waste my money. They're mortgaging my future. It's going to kill me. And sadly, the way we reach these people, well, kind of sadly, is through money. So what I need you guys to do is we're going to start passing out fundraising envelopes. You could write a check for up to $3,000 to us and we can accept it. 2016 is going to be a breakout year for us as libertarians. We have 26 candidates, more than any other libertarian party in the nation right now, per capita. That's probably an important clarification. Yeah, there's some pretty big states out there. But you know, we can choose to help get them set up. We can choose to have a strong state party who will support these candidates. Or we can continue to choose to not reach out, not touch these young people, not touch these people who believe in our ideals. We continue to refuse, you know, I don't want to give money. I want money out of politics. If you want to win, this is what it takes. It's going to take you putting your name on one of those envelopes and writing a check. So I need you to give what you can right now. You know, we have 26 candidates. That's a massive number. I'm so excited about it. It's gonna do something. We could win races this year. I mean, we win races. We win water boards. We win education boards. We win city council races. We could win state offices. Wouldn't it be great to go up to the Capitol and have a libertarian on the floor? Someone who goes and forces the people of the state of Colorado, the legislators, the principals, someone who will hold up that process, somebody who will shrink government, somebody who claims to do it and actually will do it for us.
Yeah!
And sadly, what we're doing, we're growing, and that's great. But we aren't growing fast enough. But if you write a check, we will start growing faster. I promise that there's no one who spends your money better than the Libertarian Party of Colorado. I've been to those meetings. You can call us stingy, but you know what? We take every single dollar we spend very seriously. We value your money, and we put it to, I almost said a bad word, really, really amazing use. So what I need you to do is I need you to vote with your money and say that you want to put a libertarian in the legislature. You want to send a libertarian to Congress. You want to send a libertarian to the U.S. Senate. Because if we do that, the game changes. When we get a libertarian elected to office, a major office, the whole story, everything changes. You know, I hate hearing you guys just can't win. That's why I don't vote for you. When we win, we can say, look, we have. And we currently have people serving. They won. But that's not going to happen unless you give us money. So I need you to do that. You guys have those envelopes. They're in front of all of you now, I'm pretty sure. I need you guys to give what you're able to. Or I'm going to start crying. I'm serious. I mean, I'm not seeing very many people writing checks right now. And there are other people. People claim that a 19-year-old can't do this. Prove them wrong. Come on! If you want young people to get involved with the party, we need to reach them, and we need to show them that they're going to have success. Another person reaching for their pen. You guys better start reaching for your pens too, who haven't already. And if you have, add another 0. So, you guys have those envelopes. I think I'm going to introduce our presidential candidates now. Up first, we have Governor Gary Johnson. The next candidate we're going to introduce up here is Austin Petersen. Dr. Marc Feldman. Cecil Ince. Colorado's very own Steve Kerbel. missed his name. So you guys aren't done yet. I'm going to come back up here. And Darryl Perry. Awesome. Thanks, guys. And then we have our moderator, Marc Goddard.
Welcome, candidates. So this format is going to be an elimination round. And the way this is going to work is you're each going to get 90 seconds to have your intro speech. After that, we are going to begin a series of short answer questions of 30 seconds for each answer. That's 4 questions each candidate, and it will go in the order that you have just drawn. So Gary will be first, and we'll go all the way down to, it looks like Darryl is our last candidate. All right? 30 seconds for each question. There's going to be 4 questions on top of your 90-second intro speech. At that time, we are going to stop, and everybody in this room has 2 ballots stuck to a pin. You'll notice one says first ballot. We are going to take a first ballot. The winner of that first ballot will be the top 5 vote getters. At that time, the other candidates will be eliminated. The stage will be reset for the 5 candidates, and we will continue with longer questions. All right. In the event of a tie, I do have a tiebreaker question, and it will be determined by voice vote who is the winner of a tie, should there be one. If you receive 0 votes, you are automatically eliminated from the second round. So it is conceivable that we could only have 1 candidate if everybody else gets 0. All right. So that is the rules. The second round will also have a conclusion speech where you'll each get 90 seconds to wrap up. So the 5 final candidates will get a conclusion speech. At that time, then, we will take a second ballot, and the winner of that ballot will be the winner of the debate. Any questions? All right. My timer is Mr. Mike Spalding. He's going to raise his hand when you get to 10 seconds out on the longer speech. If you go over, you get that. So please try to mind your time. All right? So with that said, we are going to begin our debate with Mr. Governor Gary Johnson. Go ahead and begin your 90-second speech, please.
I think government is too big, it spends too much, it tries to accomplish too much, and in that process, it takes away your and my money to do that. So taxes are too high. As governor of New Mexico, I was labeled as the most dangerous politician in America. I was labeled as fiscally the most conservative governor in the country. I think part of that was based on the fact that I may have vetoed more legislation than the other 49 governors in the country combined, 750 vetoes, and I had thousands of line item vetoes. I took that to a brand new art form. Civil liberties are under assault, and they're very important. The notion of our individual freedom, our individual liberty, and that should be protected and that should be celebrated. During the last election, the ACLU came out with a report card on all the presidential candidates, which was really about civil liberties. 24 liberty torches was a perfect score. Rick Santorum, Mitt Romney, and Newt Gingrich had 1 liberty torch between the 3 of them. In 3rd place was Barack Obama with 16. In 2nd place, a hero of mine, Ron Paul, 18. But I topped the list at 21 liberty torches, which is something that I really am proud of because that's what did happen. Is that a time, or is that like a couple seconds ago?
Just to remind all my candidates, that 10-second warning will be my timer raising his hand. All right, next will be Mr. Austin Petersen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me tonight. I have always been a libertarian, and I have accomplished incredible things behind the scenes, beginning my professional career as your volunteer coordinator. I began in 2008 to push the grassroots movement that Dr. Ron Paul started in 2007 into the mainstream. And while I was your volunteer coordinator, I turned your national office into an activist powerhouse. And I want to bring those same rock star attributes to your national ticket. And I've got a lot of great ideas that I'd love to see implemented that I'd like to share with you tonight, as well as with these fine other candidates as well. I think that I have the best plan, though, because I have a chance to build a broad national coalition that can stair-step us to the next level so that we can have a generational liberty movement. If you nominate me, I will be the youngest presidential candidate in American history, and I will be the first millennial. I may be young, but I'm not inexperienced. At your national office, I brainchilded a project that took Judge Napolitano into his own television show at Fox Business. So I have seen our movement from the grassroots, where I petitioned to put libertarians on the ballot, like Bill Redpath, and I've seen us from an eagle-eye vision. So I think I know how I can get us to the next level, and I'm very excited to be able to share these ideas with you tonight. Thank you very much for having me.
Next is Dr. Marc Feldman.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. I want to express my thanks and my admiration for each and every one of you. It's fantastic to see everyone here. I'm not a politician. I'm a physician. I'm a full-time anesthesiologist. I'm used to putting people to sleep one at a time. But I do have a full-time job, and I'm different. I'm different from the other candidates, and people criticize me. They say I make people think too much. But I'm not so much a favor of liberty as much in terms of limited government as much I am about unlimited individuals. And that certainly it doesn't help us be more free if we take power away from government and give it to multinational corporations and wealthy special interests. So my goal is to empower individuals, and one of the most important powers is the ability to think for yourself and to decide for yourself. That's why I tell people, I'm not a this is the way you should do it libertarian, I'm a this is the way I do it libertarian. So I think that we need to have a different message, and I'll tell you, I disagree. I think that it's going to be very difficult having Donald Trump and Clinton, because people are not voting for candidates, they're voting against them. And the Democrats and Republicans are going to be highly motivated to vote against the Republicans and the Democrats. That's why, thank you.
Microphone is down, I think. Oh, there it is, much better. All right. Next, we will go to Mr. Cecil Ince. I hope I pronounced your name right. Ince. Thank you, sir.
For those who are wondering how to pronounce my name, it's Ince, like Prince without the PR, but I am working on public relations. So, you know, I'm running for president because it's about time we have a libertarian running for office. Someone who represents the entire Libertarian Party. Not just one small fraction, not just you know, the financial contributors, but everyone who's a member. I've been a member of the Libertarian Party since 1996. When I came into the Libertarian Party, I helped petition for Harry Brown. And I voted for Harry Brown. And I ended up voting for Michael Badden-Eric. Those were the core principles. When I heard that slogan, enough is enough, vote libertarian, I was sold on the concept of libertarianism, the platform. You know, I believe that you should be able to live your life any way you choose so long as you do not infringe upon the equal rights of others. And that is my core principle, and it's about time we start restoring liberty. My resume is I'm not a career politician. I don't have a doctorate. You know, I'm a common man who has a working 9-to-5 job, who is on a bootstrap campaign to be here with you tonight. You know, I'm the guy that will first volunteer to do an Operation Politically Homeless. I am the guy that will be there. You know, all you have to do is ask me. I am a professional volunteerist. Thank you.
For Mr. McAffee, Mr. Chris Thrasher.
I'd like to say thank you to the Libertarian Party of Colorado for allowing me to be here this evening. When I first agreed to be a proxy for John McAfee, who has a prior engagement with the Libertarian Party of New Jersey, I was unaware that I'd be sharing the stage with former governor and such distinguished candidates. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Now, I cannot begin to match the intense passion, the gravitas that John's personal presence would provide this evening. So what I'd like to do instead is give you a brief story of how I came to the Libertarian Party and why that's relevant today. In 2008, I was working with a former United States Senator by the name of Marc Feldman in his bid to secure the Democratic nomination for president. I got a call from the senator one afternoon saying that we had switched to the Libertarian Party. Now, I like to joke with people and say that I swung so far to the left, I ended up on the right. What actually happened, however, for the first time, I was exposed to a philosophy that matched 100% with my worldview, what I knew already in my heart to be true. And the reason this is relevant today is because as delegates, the number one question that we have to ask ourselves when we are picking a presidential nominee, which of these candidates provides the best opportunity to spread the message of libertarianism to an audience who is yet to hear it? Okay? Now, John McAfee presents that opportunity. That's why I'm supporting him for president. And I encourage you to take a look at our positions at McAfee2016.com. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Kerbel.
This nation was conceived in liberty by framers who recognized what life was like living under tyranny. So the design was there. I think of the founders as good, solid libertarians, and I would like to follow in their footsteps. It seems to me that we have let our government get away from us. It's too large, it's too intrusive, it's too oppressive, it's too expensive, and it's time for us to rally together to make a real difference, to bring us back to the vision that this country was founded on. We have taxation that's out of control. We have a drug war, which is putting innocent people that should be innocent behind bars. We have rights being taken away at a rapid rate. Every time something happens on a national scale, more rights are taken away. It's time to change this, and we are just the people to do this. I'm so glad you're all here, and I am very happy to help lead this charge to take back the rights and liberties of the individual and to bring back true liberty to the people of this nation. I'm Steve Kerbel, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Now, Ms. Shawn Sterling. Thank you.
Okay, where's Nathan? You are awesome. You give me hope. I was over there trying to contain myself from screaming at what you were saying because you are absolutely right. We have a perfect storm. The GOP and the DNC have created this perfect storm, and they're going to sink. And guess who's going to come up to the top? We're going to get this one shot. I believe this party was birthed for this moment. We can't say, oh, we're going for 1% and get people to vote, or 5%. Americans want to be on a team that's going to fight to win the White House in November. And that's what I intend to do. I intend to be the first female candidate, nominee. Hopefully the Libertarian Party will give me that so that I can go and I can compete against Hillary and whoever the GOP puts up. Thank you.
Mr. Jack Robinson, please.
I'm Jack Robinson. I had a different opening in mind, but based on the comments that trickle up economics as socialist, I thought it's better to address that question. Birth Loop programs replace our current socialist model of monthly welfare handouts that are never repaid with loans. It is a complete reversal from our current system. Loans are not socialistic, and our government makes them all the time. Are your car and home loans socialistic? This is a wholesale shift from socialism to free market forces, from handouts that are never repaid to loans that are always repaid. Rather than expanding the size of government, each program in fact reduces the size. Government cost is eliminated with each Birth Loop program. These programs reduce rather than increase tax rates. These programs are completely voluntary and do not subjugate anyone's will to another. There is no use of force. Socialist programs redistribute wealth while Bergluck programs create new wealth. Bergluck programs simply make our lending models more efficient, getting more from them than we presently do. Approximately 2 million 25-year-olds will come off government dependence annually starting year one, resulting in a $60 billion or 15% savings to our federal budget in the first year. When all programs are enacted and Social Security and Medicare are replaced, Bergluck models will reduce our annual expenditures by 59% or $2.4 trillion per year. Our nation's debt will reverse to a surplus. Ladies and gentlemen, that is simply not what socialism looks like. That is what pure smart capitalism looks like, a better, smarter way.
Time. And our final candidate, Mr. Darryl W. Perry.
My name is Darryl W. Perry, and I represent the Libertarian wing of the Libertarian Party. When I first joined the Libertarian Party in 1999, it was proudly proclaimed as the party of principle. But over the last decade or so, it seems as though some in the party want to make the Libertarian Party the party of half measures and incrementalism. There are some people that say that if we water down the message just enough, we can reach this magical number to where we can get a government handout through some FEC something another. Well, I'm not up here tonight to promise getting 5% of the vote and a massive welfare check. I'm not up here to promise winning the election. What I'm up here promising is to, as boldly as possible and as consistently as possible, proclaim the ideas of liberty to everyone that is able to hear them. And I stand up here asking that you bestow upon me the nomination for the Libertarian Party presidential nomination so that in November, as many people as possible have the ability to vote for an actual libertarian.
All right, thank you, candidates. We are now going to begin the short answer questions. I am going to call Mr. Gary Johnson to the podium for his first question. Mr. Johnson, Governor, what do the letters TSA mean to you? 30 seconds. This will be a 30-second answer.
I would have never established the Department of Homeland Security. I would have never established TSA. I would have left that to private business. I would have left that to the airlines. Look, I think you could choose to strip completely naked if that's the airline you wanted to choose on, or you could breeze through a metal detector. But like I say, never would have established TSA or the Homeland Security Department.
Thank you. Mr. Austin Petersen. Mr. Austin Petersen, do you support auditing the Federal Reserve and why?
I absolutely support an audit of our Federal Reserve System, and even more, we should abolish the Federal Reserve. Hayek said that we will never know what good money is as long as government controls the tap. And the first thing that I would do as President of the United States is to establish a monetary reform commission that would be under my power so we could return to a free banking society and the Fed.
Dr. Feldman, what would be your first act as president?
The first act of the president would be to deliver a balanced budget to Congress and by executive order impose spending caps across the board to limit federal spending to available revenue. In addition, I would already have on board a list of 10,000 individuals for drug-related offenses to be pardoned.
Very good. Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Cecil Ince. Mr. Ince, what is the Sixth Amendment and why is it important? And if you'd like a hint of what the Sixth Amendment is,
Hold on, I got my cell phone.
it's a right to a speedy trial lawyer and public defense. Why is that important?
Well, in democracy, if everybody in this room says that I'm guilty of a crime and should be executed, in democracy that would happen. That gives us the protection of law. Because the law, the judicial system, and cannot just accuse me or you or anyone in this room that we're guilty of a crime, which, wait a minute, that happens every day today. we're supposed to be protected by the law. The purpose of the law is to protect, preserve life, liberty, and property, and we should all have the right to a fair and speedy trial.
Time.
Like my jury.
Mr. Steve Kerbel. I appreciate the candidates accommodating our small stage. Yes, it is. Mr. Kerbel, why should Donald Trump not be president?
Well, let me jump away. It's only 30 seconds. Yeah, so, well, first of all, we don't like war. You know, we like treating people with respect. If you want to actually have some integrity and principle in your political basis, Donald Trump's not your guy. You know, I think Donald Trump is a terrible example. I think he keeps racism moving. I think he keeps people to the point where they're angry, and his solutions are bad for America, bad for the individual, and I don't support him at all.
Thank you. Mr. Chris Thrasher. Mr. Thrasher, very similar question. Why should Hillary Clinton not be president?
Again, 30 seconds, we don't have enough time. I think, let's forget about the atrocious policy, the warmongering. Let's just talk a little bit about what the American electorate wants. They want something different. They want to have a different option. They need to be told, again, the Libertarian Party is the last hope for American Republic at this point. And, you know, again, I can give you a list of 1,000 reasons why she shouldn't be president. Let's not worry about them. Let's worry about giving a better option to America.
Ms. Shauna Sterling, please. Ms. Sterling, with so many budget cuts to schools, certain classes have ceased to offer certain classes anymore. What, if you could, what class would need to be brought back in schools?
I don't think the federal government has any rights. They've dropped the ball on education. I'm going to take education away from the federal government. And I used to be a teacher, have a huge background at the graduate level, and I know what they're doing with Common Core. It's bad stuff for us. I'm going to get rid of it, and I'm going to have the federal government focus on what it's supposed to focus on, protecting our U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
Mr. Jack Robinson. Mr. Robinson, how would you specifically improve fundraising for the Libertarian Party?
Well, we have to, there's several things. In the last election, 1 million votes came to the Libertarian Party, and we need to motivate that base. We need to use our resources. We're a small party. We need to use our resources to the maximum extent. We need to speak with a unified voice. We need to motivate those 1 million voters. There are things that the party can do to showcase candidates and get to do more than that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Darryl W. Perry, please. Mr. Perry, in some states like Colorado, 1/3 of the registered voters are independent. How will you reach these voters and convince them to vote for you?
I also live in a state with a large number of what they call undeclared voters. In New Hampshire, I would love to be able to declare as a Libertarian, but they tell me that that's not an option. They say you're either a Republican, a Democrat, or an undeclared. But I want to be a Libertarian, you can't be. So what I would do is to specifically reach out, you can get voter rolls. And then when you go around doing door knocking, you target those people and you get a lot higher response rate than if you just do a mass mailer. You get 1% on that. You target, you get at least 20%.
Time. Governor, your second question, please. Governor, name 2 people that you could not run your campaign without and why.
2 people that I could not run my campaign without. Well, one would be Kate, my girlfriend, best friend. I mean, if I don't get support from Kate, it just doesn't happen. And then I'll group the rest of my family in this also. If it wasn't for my family, if it wasn't for my son last political cycle that actually came on the campaign trail for 2 years unpaid, I wouldn't be here right now.
Mr. Petersen, in an ideal world, what would a libertarian government look like, and what institutions of government are needed in that particular society?
No, I hate advocating for any government whatsoever. I would like the minimal amount of government possible. Most likely, a Department of State for diplomacy, the 3 branches of government, the executive, the judicial, the legislative, but we do not need these extra constitutional agencies like the EPA, and they have these enormous enforcement laws. We've got to stop them. These agencies are unconstitutional.
Thank you, Mr. Petersen. Dr. Feldman. Dr. Feldman, with so many third parties out there, why did you choose the Libertarian Party to run for office?
It started because the Libertarian Party was the best organized, and I chose the Libertarian Party basically because I was a non-voter till I was 50 years old. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I thought all politicians were liars. I criticized the Libertarian Party for not having a full slate of state candidates, and that's when I got the call that we have a full slate except for Ohio Attorney General Dr. Feldman, would you run? That's how I got involved with the Libertarian Party.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Ince. Mr. Ince, is there any issue that you disagree with the Libertarian Party?
No. If you go on my campaign website, which is www.restoredcashliberty.weebly.com, which I'm getting the actual .com, so wait for that. You read my platform, it's basically I copied and pasted the Libertarian Party platform.
Thank you, Mr. Kerbel, Mr. Kerbel, is global warming, cooling, climate change a real phenomenon, and if so, is it caused by humanity's?
Well, you know, it's an interesting argument because you get to evidence on both sides, but it seems to me that, you know, there's constantly change happening in the history of the Earth. And I think it may be just a touch grandiose to think that we're responsible for much more than just a slight amount of it. So I would happen to say that it is a normal phenomenon. It globes, it warms, it cools, and then you get ice ages, and that's just the history of the Earth. So as I say, I think I'd like to be a little less grandiose and say that perhaps it's a natural phenomenon.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Mr. Thrasher. Mr. Thrasher, what is the purpose of foreign aid, and how would you handle the distribution of foreign aid in the future if you were president?
Well, I can answer that very simply. Why do we continue to get involved and get entangled with the internal affairs of foreign nations? Under the McAfee administration, all foreign aid would come to an end, period, end of sentence. There is absolutely no sense in America continuing to interfere with the internal affairs of nations. It creates blowback, it creates the terrorism problem we're dealing with today. It must end. And that is a libertarian platform, a libertarian position that John McAfee absolutely supports.
Ms. Thurman. This just happened to be the way it came out, the order of the questions in the draw.
You're scaring me now.
But do you, being the only woman candidate, do you support women being eligible for the draft? Why or why not?
Women, thank you, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I really feel proud. You know what, if we need people to support us and women want equality, then, and there's a draft, then yes, I do support it. If we need it, same thing with our soldiers. However, I will not send 20, 30,000 U.S. troops to fight a stupid war. I will work with our special forces under our current AUMF that Congress gave us post 9/11. So that's my view on it.
Thank you, Mr. Jack Robinson. Mr. Robinson, make a clear and simple comparison between socialism and democracy.
Socialism is being owned by the state and democracy is owning your own person. At least libertarianism is. Libertarians believe in self-control. Big government, and socialism believes in controlling all you do, your body, your wealth, your time.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, as president, would you sell any public land such as forests, parks, open spaces, etc.?
Are you buying? I most certainly would. I don't believe that the federal government should own anything other than possibly an office building and a filing cabinet. And the filing cabinet would only hold the 3x5 index cards of legislation that I would be able to sign. Anything larger than a 3x5 index card, I think, is too large to actually sign into legislation. So the answer of the question, most definitely, I would sell it all.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Governor, your third question.
That was one of my criteria too as governor.
Governor, if you could propose an amendment to the Constitution, what would it be?
Well, rather than propose an amendment to the Constitution, I would love to repeal the 17th Amendment. I think that if we didn't have the 17th Amendment, that we wouldn't be in the pickle that we're in right now. And the 17th Amendment is the direct election of U.S. senators as opposed to senators being appointed by state legislatures. We would not have a deficit today if the 17th Amendment were to have never been on the books.
Mr. Petersen. Who was Tawny Nathan and why is she significant to the Libertarian Party?
Tawny Nathan, was she the first woman to receive an electoral vote, I believe?
That is correct, Mr. Petersen.
And we need more women in this movement, ladies and gentlemen, and I think I can bring those women to our cause because when I've looked at our donor rolls and our demographics, I actually have some of the highest amounts of women, single mothers, who have joined our campaign because they see the oppression of government. We need more women involved in this movement, ladies, and I'm so glad to see all of you beautiful faces here. Thank you for coming tonight.
Dr. Feldman. Dr. Feldman, who would you nominate to fill the vacancy on the Supreme Court?
I have enough confidence in our principles. I think that it's not just something that we believe in, I think it's something that makes sense. I would choose the greatest legal mind with the best experience and best judgment, and I'm certain that they would continue that once they get on the bench. I would have no litmus test on any issue.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Ince. In what year was the Libertarian Party founded? Which state and who is its founder?
David Nolan, Colorado, 1971.
Correct. You may use the time to discuss why it's important.
Why is it important? Well, there's a lady back here looking at the Statue of Liberty. She's been collecting information, and I would really love to see what she's collected. And it's on Facebook, right? So just scroll through there. Where was the address where the party was founded?
I'm not supposed to be answering questions.
Yeah, it was in Colorado Springs, but I'd like to know the house where it was at so we can get a historical marker.
Mr. Kerbel. Mr. Kerbel, considering the quality of the candidates you're on stage with tonight, why should the delegates make you the Libertarian presidential nominee above the rest?
Because the key to getting the most votes and actually winning office is clear and concise communication. One of the things I've experienced in all these years, or watching the political environment and being involved in the campaign trail for the last year, I find that the biggest problem we face is people don't know what we're all about. And one of the things that I've actually been quite good at in this time is explaining in a very simple and concise manner what our principles are all about, what our goals are all about, and how they relate to the actual people who will be making the votes. That's why I think I could be very helpful in this regard.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Thrasher, are you in favor of the death penalty? Why or why not?
The very notion that the government has the right to terminate a human life is abhorrent to me. It is abhorrent to John McAfee. If he were here, he would make a point to talk about how our bodies belong to ourselves. They do not belong to our government. That matters in personal choices we make, as well as when it comes to capital punishment. So absolutely 100% not in favor of the death penalty. It is abhorrent that the state should come into that.
Ms. Sterling. Ms. Sterling, how would you as president carry out your energy policy?
Well, I would not go after the energy resources of the individual states. For example, Kentucky coal is very big, and Obama has tried to destroy our state by going after our coal, and he's doing that all over our nation so that he can make our states dependent on the federal government. And I would just let the states make this decision, and I would fight with them against anybody who tried to take away their energy independence.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson, what can you do to attract more diversity and membership to the Libertarian Party?
I have an economic plan that squares everything up with everyone. Birth of economics begins with the birth of each child, whether they're a minority or a woman or a rich person. It doesn't matter. We all get the same. And the birth book also provides each with health care, wealthy retirement, and we will all be a wealthy society, equal, and I guess I'm going to stop. That's just what birth book says.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, the Libertarian Party is indeed the party of principle. How would you prevent any outside factions such as the Tea Party or Ron Paul Republicans from taking over the party and diluting the party's long history of individual freedom and minimum government?
The Libertarian Party has a pledge that every man, woman, and I guess the child could, in theory, sign the pledge, since we aren't atheists here. But every member of the Libertarian Party signs the pledge. And that pledge states that I hereby certify that I will not initiate force or fraud for political or social goals. And we need to make sure that people understand exactly what that means.
Time. And our first speaker, our fourth and final question, Mr. Johnson. Governor, what is the definition of a right?
What is the definition of a right?
You're welcome. Time will start when you start.
I guess it would be natural. It would be common sense. The right to life, liberty, happiness, the right to live. The right to live. I probably got this way wrong. By the way, there have been so many questions, and I'm just glad I haven't gotten, and now I got one.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Petersen.
A right is a guarantee.
something that cannot be taken away.
That was not your question. But thank you for alluding. All right, Mr. Petersen, who has been the most libertarian president elected to date and why?
Grover Cleveland, because he's an all-interventionist and he believes in sound money. And after that, Tommy Coolidge, and that's all this is.
Thank you. Marc Feldman. Dr. Feldman, when is it acceptable to use force?
It's never acceptable to use force, but it must be used when it's necessary. And it's only used when it is the last option to counter force that has already been initiated by the party, and it's only to protect one's rights, and there's no other way to do it.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Ince. Mr. Ince, what's the greatest problem facing America today? And I do mean singular problem.
Singular. That would be the Republicans and Democrats because they're the same party.
Very good.
And if I was to sum it down into one thing, I would say that it would be party systems altogether. And two, I would say it would be Federal Reserve Bank.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ince. Mr. Kerbel. Mr. Kerbel, how would you help curb the growing police state?
Less laws. That's where we start. I mean, where do you suppose these abuses come from? I mean, the more things we make illegal, the more things we turn into crimes, the more force we have in enforcement. So I think less laws is a great place to start, and that's where it really needs to end as well. And certainly, we have to watch the way that we're enforcing the laws, but really the key comes down to less laws. That's what the key is.
Mr. Thrasher. I understand. You guys are doing great. What is your opinion on the government versus Apple debate about unlocking the iPhone?
Well, I'm here representing a gentleman who has had a little bit to say on this issue. Let's just put it this way. Allowing the government a back door to one iPhone allows them a back door to every iPhone. It won't be long until it's a back door to every Android phone and everything else that you can conceivably imagine. It's imperative that we protect our privacy and we do not allow government to access our most sensitive data. This is an issue that John McAfee holds very dear. And I encourage you to take a look at McAfee2016.com for more information.
Ms. Sterling. Ms. Sterling, what is your position on vaccination, and should children be required to be vaccinated?
No, they should not. No child should ever be forced to receive a vaccination that could be tainted with something that the federal government might decide or not decide to put in it. It is the parent's decision whether the child receives a vaccination or not. Our parents should not be direct on this issue, and I will make sure and protect our families across America so that they won't get back on this issue.
Thank you, Ms. Sterling. Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson, would you support the movement to make student loans able to be dismissed in bankruptcy?
I believe I would. Right now, 47% of the national wealth is in student loans, and the government is simply taking advantage of students. I don't appreciate that at all. And I have a new way that I would like to see students go to. It is First Loop Plus Education, and it begins accumulating wealth at birth so that by the time you are, it just uses time on our side. By the time you're ready to go to college, you'll have a fun way.
Thank you. And last question of this round, Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, what is your position on North Korea and its missile testing?
You know, one thing is rather interesting. The United States government is the only government in the world that has ever used a nuclear weapon against another country in a final war. But yet it's the United States government that wants to go around picking and choosing who's allowed to have this horrible device. I don't believe that nuclear weapons should exist at all, but since they do, the United States government should not have a say in who has them.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our first round. Everybody give a round of applause for our candidates.